The Hispasat group is growing. Hispasat 1E, a new communications satellite with which the company is extending its capacity and coverage in Europe, America and Africa, and strengthens its leadership and internationalization process. Located at 30 degrees west and with a lifetime of 15 years, the new satellite offers the best possibilities of high-quality, high-power communications. With a total of 53 transponders in Ku band and capacity in Ka band, Hispasat 1E doubles the current capacity in this orbital position. Hispasat 1E has a launch mass of 5.3 tons, a 26-meter solar panel deployable in orbit, 5 antennas, 3 deployable, 2 horns and more than 13 kilowatts of power at the end of its lifetime. Based on the LS-1300 platform of Space Systems Loral, it has a 3-axis attitude control system which allows for high precision in aiming at the Earth. The Ariane 5 ECA launcher of Hispasat is responsible for launching the Hispasat 1E satellite in orbit from the launch base of the European Space Agency at Kourou, French Guiana. The injection of the Hispasat 1E in its geostationary orbit takes place in 2 phases. The launching phase aims to place the satellite into the transfer orbit, which is carried out in 2 steps. The takeoff will start at 7.3 seconds from the end of countdown. At 140 seconds, the solid fuel boosters will separate. The cap will separate at 189 seconds, and the separation of the main stage happens at 542 seconds. At this point, the vehicle will be at an altitude of 181 kilometers and will be traveling at approximately 7,380 meters per second. At 546 seconds from the end of the countdown, the upper stage ESCA will ignite to place the Hispasat 1E satellite in its geostationary transfer orbit. Startup of this last stage will last 953 seconds. Up to that time, 24 minutes and 59 seconds have passed since the end of the countdown, and the satellite will be at 641 kilometers and traveling at 9,862 meters per second. The launcher will then be redirected to separate from the Hispasat 1E and its flight companion, with an approximate 6-minute difference between them to ensure that a minimum safety separation is maintained between the satellites. Once the separation of the Hispasat 1E from the launch vehicle has been detected, the satellite will be initialized and all of the solar panels will be deployed. The satellite will then be redirected towards the Sun, which will be its energy source from that time. Once the satellite has been separated from the launcher, a sequence of maneuvers has to be performed in order to reach the geostationary orbit from where communication services are provided. As it approaches the apogee of the orbit, the main engine of the satellite will ignite for about 1.5 hours. The Hispasat 1E will increase its speed by 510 meters per second, reaching an intermediate orbit of lower eccentricity. The main engine will be ignited 4 times with a total duration of about 4 hours. This will increase the speed of the Hispasat 1E by 1,477 meters per second and leave the satellite very near its final geostationary orbit at 36,786 kilometers above the equator. The following operations are performed to prepare the satellite for carrying out its mission, including the deployment of the antennas and redirecting the satellite to pick up the Earth. Finally, the orbit is corrected and synchronized until reaching the location from where the verification tests will be conducted. After these tests, the orbit will be corrected again to the definitive point from where the satellite will come into service. From that moment, the Hispasat 1E will be under the supervision of the Hispasat Group Control Center technicians. In its vocation as a company that promotes the aerospace industry, Hispasat incorporates to this project a significant level of participation by the Spanish space industry. EADS Casa Espacio. Thales Alenia Space España. RIMSA. Iberespacio. GMV. Indra. With the Hispasat 1E satellite coming into service, the Hispasat Group consolidates its leadership in the deployment of digital terrestrial television and the broadcasting of direct-to-home television platforms in Spanish and Portuguese. Along with these services, the Hispasat 1E facilitates broadband internet access without geographic barriers or limitations, the deployment of corporate networks and of fixed and cellular telephony infrastructures, television distribution of content to cable TV headends, the undertaking of telemedicine and e-learning projects, as well as projects for the universalization of telecommunications services. Hispasat 1E, bringing cultures closer.